OmniTalk's Retail Fast 5. Today's episode is brought to you in partnership with the A&M Consumer and Retail Group, Avalara, Williot, TGW, and Sezzle. Ranked in the top 10% of all podcasts globally and currently ranked the #1 podcast in all of retail by FeedSpot, the Retail Fast 5 is the podcast that we hope makes you feel a little smarter, but most importantly, a little happier each week too. And the Fast 5 is just one of many great podcasts you can find from the OmniTalk retail team alongside our Retail Daily Minute, which brings you a curated selection of the most important retail headlines every morning, and our Retail Technology Spotlight series, which goes deep each week on the latest retail technology trends. Today is May 8th, 2024. I'm your host, Ann Mazenga.
And I'm Chris Walton.
And we are here once again to discuss and debate the most important headlines of the past week. But Chris, before we discuss and debate, I have to say a major shout out, especially with a lot of our Minnesota listeners, to the Minnesota Timberwolves for totally dominating. I have to just relish in this as a Minnesota sports fan. We don't get to do this often, so I have to just take some pride in this podcast. And I mean, I guess there's a retail angle too, right? Mark Lore is like one of the owners
in the background,
of this team.
like who gets the team that could win the championship. That's amazing.
I'm sure he's taking credit for them going this far.
Oh yeah.
He's raising more money as a result for whatever he wants to do next.
Right.
But have you been watching this series, Chris?
I actually have not been watching it because they dusted my Suns and I'm still bitter about it, Ann, in the first round, but it looks like they're about to dust everybody at this rate. So why? What? Didn't somebody like throw a towel or something? Like,
yes.
I heard Jamal Murray got in trouble. What happened there?
I mean, the last game.
What's your impression?
Insane. It was just like the guy throws out not only a towel first when he gets mad, throws a towel at a ref, and then throws a heating pad on the floor during a play. It was insane.
Wow.
But I think like the game, if you were watching the game, and I mean, I'll get back to retail in a second, but one of my favorite, again, there's a retail tie-in here, I promise, but Travis Robertson, lead creative at Walmart, he posted one of my favorite memes, and it was like on the court with the Minnesota Timberwolves defense, and it was just like seeing triple vision. Like there's 3 ants, there's 3 Karl Anthony Towns, like just so many people, like they just destroyed. And it's so fun to watch.
They've been crushing it. They've been crushing it. Well, hopefully as we get through this podcast, the listeners don't want to throw any towels at us. But I would take a heating pad, and at 47, I would gladly take somebody throwing a heating pad my way at the end of this podcast.
Like lobbing it to you, not throwing it at you necessarily.
Well, I don't know. It depends how much pain I'm in that day and what I'm willing to endure, Ann. But all right, well, let's get started. Today we've got news on Uber Eats partnering with Instacart for restaurant delivery, new Walmart AI tools for in-store employees, Happy Returns powering Shein's returns at Forever 21 stores, and we asked the question if Starbucks mobile ordering has become too popular. I cannot wait for that discussion. But we begin today with wholesaling news. Yes, more wholesaling news and out of Target.
Yeah, this was quite the buzz this week, Chris. Target is already broadening its recently announced partnership with Hudson's Bay. According to BNN Bloomberg, Target is expanding sales of its in-house Cat and Jack children's brand, a department store chain, Hudson's Bay Company in Canada, to include swimwear, outerwear, and shoes, going beyond the apparel products it's been offering since March. Target has also reportedly received interest from other retailers around the world and is in the early stages of exploring opportunities to sell its products to retailers in Europe and the Americas. Chris, we talked about this not too long ago, back in March when we were at Shop Talk, but does this change or does this deepen any of the opinions that you had in just these few short weeks?
No, in fact, it makes me more curious about them, Ann, I would say. And so I'm going to start the podcast off hot today, Ann. I really am. I'm coming in hot. I'm coming in strong. I went into the rabbit hole on this one yesterday, and I'm going to try to get through this in my 1.5 to 2 minutes that I have per segment for this. But first of all, I'm not buying the idea that after 1 month of selling, Target decided to expand the assortment.
Okay.
1 month just isn't enough. People could be excited about the launch, for example. It's the same reason you don't measure new store comps against the first month when a store is open, when a new store is open.
Fair.
So that tells me that the expansion was probably already in the works, and it feels like Target is just using the media here to help drive interest in the wholesaling strategy, especially when you consider that earnings are coming up here very shortly. So I take this announcement with a grain of salt, number one. All right. Number two, and here's where I get spicy, and number two, the strategy. Cat and Jack, as was stated in the reports, is a $3 billion brand in the US for Target. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a look at the size of the US apparel market relative to other countries. And courtesy of a quick Google search, I found that the top 10 countries by apparel sales, and I looked up the top 10 countries by apparel sales annually. Okay. The US leads the way with $350 billion annually, followed neck and neck by China. China's about the same size, but China is not a stated outlet for Cat and Jack at this point. And whether it would resonate there, I don't know. Target's tried some things in China before. They haven't really moved forward with them, at least to our knowledge. India is next at 100 billion. Probably not a great outlet for that brand either, which leaves the next 7 countries. The next 7 countries, Anne, they total about $386 billion, which is roughly equivalent to the US's annual volume.
Sure.
So at best, when you strip this back, at best, this is a $3 billion idea because net, the volumes are roughly the same. All right. But you have to think that's a high estimate for 2 reasons. One, that is retail sales volume, not what Target takes home from the distribution deal. That's very important. And second of all, this is all Target sells in their stores. So that $3 billion is inflated because, as in the case of Hudson's Bay, it is going to be just one category of products among many in a department store setting, which is probably how the other wholesale arrangements that Target is going to coordinate throughout the country or the world, as is alluded to in this article, are going to work. So could be net ROI positive, but I think at the end of the day, this is not in any way the large-scale growth strategy that Target needs. It feels like it could be a distraction, or even more sadly, something that Target leadership thinks will work, but won't make a material difference. That is my current positioning on this. And what do you think?
Okay. I mean, it is growth. It is growth.
Yes.
It is growth. It is not probably the growth that maybe we wanted to see from Target, but it is growth. And I do think, like in any one of these launches, you are you are phasing this out. I can't understand where the announcement of like, okay, it is like, number one, will people buy it? And I think that we're seeing that people will buy it, that there is interest in this product from the Hudson's Bay company customer. And now it's like, now let's go into phase 2. It's the summer. Let's start to think about rolling out swimwear, shoes for back to school, like all these other outerwear. So I think it makes sense logically to me, but I really think that, Chris, it's going to come down to what resources Target has to allocate for this. Because my guess is you're not, to test the waters on this, you're not doing too much by way of like hiring on teams. You're probably like adding this on to your current team's workload, just as a pilot, right? To see where it goes. And so I think the proof's really going to be in the pudding when you start to see if they start to expand to other retailers. Because I worked on the Target Canada brand launch, and like the amount of work and resources and teams allocated to just like making sure that the packaging and the hang tags were bilingual, and that and as you start to go, that this is one market, as you start to go into other countries in Europe and the Americas, like that's going to continue to be more and more robust, and teams will have to be built out to support this. And that's where I think you have to put the real pen to paper and see, is this something that makes sense from a resourcing perspective at Target that it's going to require, that I don't think we have a full picture of at this point. But the other thing that I would add too is that Target's not alone in doing this. So, something that we said back on the
not at all.
Yeah, it's something we said back on the podcast when we were talking about this initial launch in March was like, can Target make a business of this without going on some of those other, marketplace sites like Amazon, like Wayfair, should they decide to go into home furnishings? And I do wonder if it is possible. Like, we interviewed Ian Bailey back at World Retail Congress from Kmart Australia, and he's talking about their own brand, Anko, just the wooden toys going into some other retailers, and they're seemingly having success with that too. So I think it's kind of going to be this new world of, how do you make sense going into other retailers with specific categories, and how do you make that pencil? How do you align the resources internally to make sure that that's a sustainable business model?
Well, the point of fact, they're trying it. They actually haven't done it yet, right? And the Kmart Australia example, like they're trying it with Mattel, right? If I'm not mistaken, Ann, is that right?
Uh, I think it was Carrefour that they're launching in, but they're doing it with
but
the wooden
Mattel is
toys.
sub licensing it, right? I thought. But anyway, regardless, like it hasn't. I don't think it's actually gone into market yet. And so you're right. I mean, the key thing is the juice worth the squeeze? But that is a good example of like, someone else trying the same thing. And lots of people have tried it, and it's also why, brands like WHP Global license
Mhm.
the right to use, Toys R Us. And so there's potentially a there, but you're right in terms of like, what is Target going to get out of this? Is the juice worth the squeeze? And what is the long-term growth potential of it? I think I think that's still the $64,000 question, as much as there might be energy and excitement around this announcement. All right, headline number 2, Uber Eats is planning to power restaurant delivery on Instacart. According to a joint Instacart and Uber press release, Instacart customers nationwide will be able to use the Instacart app to order from hundreds of thousands of restaurants powered by Uber Eats. The experience will be featured through a new, quote, restaurants tab in the Instacart app, providing a user-friendly interface that allows consumers to choose from a selection of nearby restaurants, browse menus, place orders, and track deliveries in real time. Instacart Plus members will also get even more value from their membership at no additional cost, with $0 charged for delivery on grocery and restaurant orders over $35. And my hunch is
Yes.
you love this. Am I right?
Oh my God. Instacart won the week. I think
Oh,
that's like
wow.
plain
Bigger
and simple.
statement.
Like it was like a trickle effect. First, they talked about Instacart now doing delivery from Kohl's, which I think is a smart move. We have Instacart and NBC Universal teaming up on an ad partnership this week. And now you came in with the Instacart and Uber Eats mashup. And I think this is brilliant. The market loves it. Both Instacart and Uber stock prices increased this week. And not surprisingly, DoorDash went down because this is really positioning
Yeah.
Instacart and Uber Eats as a true contender, finally, to DoorDash, which owns the majority. I think it's like 67% of the US delivery market. So this is a huge move. Obvious for the obvious reasons, because it's now bringing in grocery, restaurant, and then more retailers into the Instacart fold, justifying that Instacart Plus membership. But also, I think we have to pay close attention here, Chris, to the retail media angle here. Now you have Instacart data that not only gives brands information about what you're ordering as a customer from delivery across multiple retailers, but now they also know what you're buying in store with Caper Carts. They also know what you're ordering from
Mhm.
restaurants, and they can correlate that data with the information about what you're streaming on NBC Universal properties like Peacock. So I think this is like a huge, huge announcement from Instacart this week. And I cannot wait to see how this unfolds and how we start to see everybody from Walmart to Grubhub to oh my gosh, to DoorDash coming
Yeah.
back to like compete against this announcement, because this is massive. But
Yeah.
are you in agreement? What do you
Yeah.
think?
So Instacart, I love that. Instacart won the week. So you put headline number 2 way above number 1 by like a factor
Yeah.
of like
Yes.
multifold, right? Yeah,
Yes, for
100%.
sure.
I would
For
I would
sure.
agree. I mean, I think this is a great story. Great call outs on the whole week thing. I mean, for me, it just shows you collaboration is a new competition. We've been saying for a while on this show that we should expect to see more consolidation in the third party delivery space. And here it is. And that Instacart has been out on an island without the restaurant delivery as a component. So good move by them. I mean, good
Mhm.
move by them. So, but it does. I think the interesting thing for me, Ann, is it raises the question of, where does this go next?
Right.
It seems like a pretty important feature to have in the Instacart experience long term, almost like Instacart will now be beholden to Uber Eats to some degree. So it makes me wonder what else could be going on here long term. Is this a prelude to a merger of some kind, some type of acquisition? I don't know. Time will tell, but you got to keep that restaurant delivery once you got it, or else you're going to lose customers. So
For sure.
I don't know so there's potentially something else at play here. And I think if you look at the industry in the long haul too, in terms of continued consolidation, you have to think that could also be in play just for that reason as well. But I don't know. What do you think? Last
I
word.
mean, the potential merger of these companies could be massive and truly could get Instacart to the point that they've always talked about trying to get to, being this super app and really being
Yeah,
able
either
to
one could be
facilitate.
the super app, right? Yeah,
Exactly.
ultimately, yeah.
Facilitating everything from, deliveries to home, packaging return to, pickup and movement of people and things. Like there's so much potential here. And yeah, I can't wait to follow along and see what happens, because I think you're right. I think there's some more that's brewing to truly stand up and be a real competitor to some of the big guys out there.
Let me
Um,
ask you this, Ann. Does it make
yes.
you want to use Instacart more than your DoorDash? Because you're like the biggest DoorDash fan of all time. Is it going to switch you?
It doesn't get me to convert yet,
Okay. Okay.
but I think that it certainly makes the case for people. I think you have a lot more people who are using Instacart for grocery delivery right
Right.
now, and I
Right.
think that this makes the case for them to stay loyal and to really
Mhm.
start to eventually pull, I think, from other partners who aren't giving them, the grocery delivery. But I think Instacart's still got to continue to add those retailers onto the platform that make more sense, because I still think DoorDash has a better variety of retailers and restaurant offerings so far. So we'll see. Let's go to headline number 3. Walmart's new in-store AI is giving employees advice on how to sell products before it's too late. According to CNBC, the internally developed AI technology allows Walmart employees to scan produce like bananas to determine how ripe the product is. Then, using generative AI, a digital dashboard will make a suggestion on what to do with the product. For example, recommending a price cut or sending products back to the vendor, all of which helps to eliminate the need for human decision making in the absence of informed advice. Walmart is also experimenting with something similar in apparel. If an employee does an AI scan of clothes by mid season, for example, it can advise employees on whether it should be put on sale earlier. Of course, the more clothes that are sold, the less chance it has of being destroyed. So, Chris, I want to know what your thoughts are on this, but it's also the A&M put you on the spot question.
All right.
Uh,
Bring it, Ann. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm rolling on this pocket. Let's do it. I start off hot. Let's bring it. Bring it, A&M.
all right, A&M wants to know, as former store operators, walk us through the practical procedures and tactics of how this would work in store amongst other activities, from the time store associates would actually take to scan individual bananas to how they execute the suggested actions from the AI, such as quick price changes. Chris, you have more experience in the store operations when it comes to things like grocery, so please let us have it.
Yeah, I mean that's why I love A&M. This is such the perfect question for this headline to uncover what's really going on here. And I think net, as much as I've lauded Walmart of late, I think this headline's a little more PR sizzle than probably is warranted, at the end of the day. Because
Definitely.
you
Definitely
think
the
so too? You think
definitely
so too?
the whole we're saving things from going into the landfill and food
R-
waste. Like, it was a
They
really
push the
weird.
sustainability angle a little too hard.
Yeah,
Yes, 100%. And the reason why I personally think that, I'm guessing you feel the same way, is you get down to how is this actually used and what is it really doing? So, and let me explain that. So like between the two, the produce and the apparel idea, I potentially like the produce idea. On the grocery
really.
side, yeah, staffing turnover's high, freshness is important. It's hard to teach that over and over again. But of course, as A&M is alluding to, the devil is in the details. So my question, and I don't know this from the article, is how does it work? Are you scanning individual items? Are you scanning full presentations of apples? Are you scanning cases as they come in? Now, all those use cases potentially could work, but scanning, the idea that you're scanning something individually doesn't make sense. So, you're probably looking at the overall presentation of apples and saying, okay, we need to take a price cut on this. And having a tool that could do that and inform you with good AI and analytics, I can get on board with that. I can at least get on board with it from an experimentation perspective to
Sure.
understand if there's value there. The apparel use case, though, I am not on board with at all, and partly because apparel is a different product than produce. Like, it doesn't have a spoilage factor. For example, here's my question. Here's the $64,000 question on this one for me. What additional information is the employee getting from a scan that shouldn't already be known about that product through smart systems at headquarters?
Right.
All those systems at headquarters should know everything, because there is no on the ground. You don't have to look at a product to be like, oh, is this shirt or sweater going to spoil? Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
happen that way. It's a totally different use case. So, and I honestly can't think of a single piece of information that should be, available to that store employee at that moment that shouldn't be available at the headquarters operations if things are running correctly, and shouldn't be able to run and flow into their promotional and their clearance and their markdown programs. So that one just seems absolutely ridiculous to me. But I don't know. Do you agree?
So, well, I guess my question is too, like, it comes down to a question of like how dialed in is Walmart's inventory visibility, pricing, and promotions. Like, I guess in the apparel use case, like, is there value here in having the store associate go through and use the scanning? Like, this is again where like the generative AI part doesn't make sense to me. Like, is there
No.
value in somebody scanning the floor pad to say like, oh wow, we didn't realize we had 40 extra like Kiss concert t-shirts that didn't sell to this market. Like, they're now sitting here on the clearance rack, or there's racks full of them. We need to move it out to get new inventory in. Like, is this giving visibility at the store level that they didn't have before? Like, why would this be a component of that tool in the apparel case? And oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, I think it's a great question. No, it doesn't. I mean, and especially because Walmart is reportedly using RFID to do
That's what
that same thing. And
right.
so, the information that's going to that's going to inform the quote unquote AI engine of what to do is going to be using the same data set regardless. So the question almost becomes moot in a lot of ways, in terms of how this is working, which is very important as we're talking about whether or not this is a good application of the technology.
Right. And I think the important thing to note for me here is like the Ask Sam Gen AI technology that Walmart has built internally that they're using here and at Sam's Club, I think is valuable. Like
Oh
that as
yeah.
a concept is very valuable. There's so much that I think can be gleaned from that as an organization, and really to help quickly onboard associates that are where there's high turnover, like you were saying earlier. But I think that these particular use cases seem like a very unusual case to highlight. It seems like Walmart's really trying to push the outer edges of what this technology can do, and maybe it's valuable. I still think, like you said, there's a lot of unknowns though, of like how exactly this works and like what the benefit is of somebody going in and scanning. And I have to believe that there's some kind of like inventory understanding or component in real time that's part of this, but
Yeah, I
I
mean, the
I
last
don't
point
know
I
what to
make,
make.
can the idea that any retailer would want individual employees scanning, individual items of apparel on their sales floor and adjusting prices is insane. That would take so much workload, so much payroll. It'd be so distracting, and it can just be better handled centrally, 100%. With all of to your point about the inventory, all the same data flowing through the systems that are going to help make those decisions regardless. So, all right, well, let's take a break now and let's talk about and encourage you to join us at Omni Talk at the 2024 Commerce Next show on June 11th to 13th in New York City. We will be live streaming from the show, and you can learn from over 150 industry leading speakers across more than 75 sessions. Scaled retailers and brands can register for a free ticket today or use code FAST5, all one word, to get 10% off your general admission ticket. We are just 5 weeks away. Go to commercenext.com/conference to secure your spot today. We hope to see you there. Check out the link in our podcast description if you want to learn more. All right, headline number 4, UPS's Happy Returns now powers Shein returns at Forever 21 stores. According to Supply Chain Dive, Happy Returns has launched a capability for enterprise retailer stores to accept online returns from different brands, the US UPS companies announced Tuesday. E-commerce giant Shein is one of the first brands to use the solution, with its customers able to make a box-free return of their online orders at Forever 21's more than 300 stores in the continental US. The solution can work with any returns portal, be it from Happy Returns or the retailer itself, to generate QR codes for shopper returns. Happy Returns also provides software that allows a store to receive and verify cross-brand returns. Once a return is dropped off, Happy Returns can provide reverse logistics options to move inventory to its desired location. And given our history with Happy Returns, I'm betting you love this one too, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I think it makes a lot of sense and it probably will for people because of the partnership that exists between Shein and Forever 21. But I think that even more importantly, this is a growth opportunity. Like we were talking about for Target at the beginning, like talk about a growth opportunity here. Like you're already accepting returns from your marketplaces at like Walmart is, Target is in your stores. So why not have the opportunity to take a happy returns in addition, drive those purchases, get people in the doors that weren't intending to, go to a Target store to spend money, but it's conveniently located or a Walmart that's conveniently located near them to really consolidate that return. And I love the sustainability angle here too, because even if it's just cutting back on the one-to-one returns, and this is just being like, okay, we're going to ship a bunch of returns from a Target store or from a Forever 21 store just to the UPS processing facility. Like you're already saving trucks on the road in that instance. So I love that. And then but my final thing, I think Shein is an important category. The returns for these products are costly and the product value is generally not that high to warrant the return of the product. So if you're a thrifter, if you're in any of these consignment shops, the Goodwills across the country, like you are seeing so much of this product with tags still on it that in most cases ends up going to landfill. So I love the angle here that this is giving these retailers and the potential that it has for other retailers who could accept these returns. So super excited to hear about this news from Happy Returns. Chris, are you in agreement? Do you like it?
Yeah, I think this is a big announcement this week. This week was huge too. We had like 10 headlines that almost made our top 5. Like we could have gone with any direction on a number of them. But yeah, for me, this one is big. Boom goes the dynamite is how I would say this. And um, because essentially what David Sobey and the team at Happy Returns here are doing is exactly why you and I went to see them when they first set up shop at Santa Monica's mall in 2016 when
Mm-hmm.
we were heading up Store of the Future for Target. And the reason is because returns can be a traffic driver. And they don't have to be your returns either. That's the key point here, folks.
Right.
A smart retailer of more size and scale than Shein, in my opinion, should jump on the bandwagon and start experimenting with Happy Returns or something similar to become the ubiquitous returns outpost in the United States, which seems like a perfect fit for Walmart or Target and mall operators, especially. So, which gives some indication. This whole thing gives some indication on why we were so hot on Happy Returns 8 years ago. And
Right.
8 years ago, it
Right.
shows you how long it takes the market to get to where it's going to go. But yes, I'm so excited, happy for David to see this announcement come together.
Yeah, really simple too from the returns perspective too. I mean, the QR code, they hand the thing, the Happy Returns bins are there. It's like such a simple, smooth process too for the retailers. Not I mean, I've used the marketplace example, but it's even simpler than that in most cases. So I think this just gives so much flexibility to customers and then, definite benefits like you said to some of those places that people are coming to multiple times, like the malls or the new malls of Walmart and Target. All right, let's go to headline number 5. Starbucks mobile ordering is becoming so popular that there are concerns that it could be slowing some orders down. According to CX Dive, Starbucks mobile ordering is growing in popularity with more than 3 in 10 Starbucks orders made through the Starbucks Rewards app during the last quarter. A quote, mid-teens percent, end quote, of mobile orders went uncompleted, according to Starbucks CEO. As a result, Starbucks plans to establish a new set of procedures for baristas called the Siren Craft System to speed up order fulfillment. Chris, mobile ordering, talk about something we've been on the bandwagon for a long time. Is this good or bad for Starbucks in the long run?
Oh man, I think it's a great question. I mean, to me, I'm worried. I'm worried that this is heading down the road of bad in the long run.
Oh no. How
Yeah,
come?
I really am. I think Pandora's box has been open, and there's no going back. It's the analogy I was trying to think about yesterday. It's a little bit like self checkout at the grocery store at this point,
Mm,
but grocers went all in, and now they're pulling it back. But I don't think Starbucks can do that at this point. Um, and so the other thing the other thing that concerns me about that is what does it mean for the Starbucks brand in the long term? Starbucks, Starbucks, when you get down to it, if you've been in one lately, it feels less and less like a third place every day. Like I
Right.
was in one that I went into the one, I hadn't been in a long time, but I went to the Starbucks where I used to write all my articles for the first 2 years of Omni Talk, 5, 6 articles a month. And now there isn't even a place to sit like at all, like hardly. And so I don't even think about going in and ordering anymore. And you could be the only one in line and it could take you 20 minutes to get through the queue, which has been deluged by mobile orders, which it makes for a not a great experience to come in the store. There's no place to sit. And then you're just kind of at the whim of when your order is going to come through. And, even for like cake pops, it took me 15 minutes to get cake pops the other day because they put cake pops in the queue with everything else. And
Mhm.
it's just really, it's not a great in-store experience anymore, which is probably why Howard Schultz came out and said the same thing this week.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. I mean,
Okay.
I guess my question is like, why
I
does
don't know
it
what
have
you
to be
do.
why does it have to be the third place? Like, that's not a model that I think Starbucks
Mm,
can continue to operate anymore.
mm,
The pay is too costly. They're dealing with all of these issues with unions. Like, I think when Howard Schultz came out and said, like, we need to talk about improving our stores, I'm not sure what the, siren craft system exactly is.
right.
But I mean, I've said this before. Like, I think that the humans in this process are actually what are holding up the mobile order. I mean, when you look at what's happening, like you have somebody pulling a ticket, you have somebody like putting the tickets all over the place. Like they're losing track of what order those things are in, putting them on cups, and then they're getting the orders prepared, and the human is mixing all the drinks. I think that Starbucks should and could move to a 100% automated process. That mobile order goes in, the queuing is all accurately added up, and then the drinks are made right then and there. They don't need to have the human elements involved. I think you do need humans involved in, the handoff process, the barista process of greeting people as they're coming up in front of their orders. I think that's still important, but I think the success of Starbucks is more about consistency in orders and getting your orders quickly than it is about being that place anymore. I think this is the new evolution of where Starbucks has to go. Maybe the reserve concepts can be the place where you still go in and sit down and hang out, but I think it's two almost separate business models at this point. And we're seeing other QSR retailers like Chipotle, and the Chipotle founder Steve L is like going in the same direction. Like we're automating the avocados. This is not like the guacamole making. Like this is not what's giving people happiness about working in these environments. This is not a motivating job. This is something that can be easily automated, and then focus on paying those, 2 or 3 people that are running the stores that are doing the handoff higher wages, giving them benefits, and really having the store run more efficiently.
Mm.
But what are,
I don't know.
where
I don't
where do
know
you
if I
fall
like
on
that
that?
because then long run, you're Starbucks. You're competing on price and efficiency. That's it. I mean, ultimately, and you're ripe for disruption if you go that route. So I don't know. That's a big bet to play versus like figuring out the right operational strategy to make sure that people aren't waiting in store, the right, allocation of your real estate for tables versus pickup, the right placement of your stores for pickup only versus, the stores you can still go in and sit down because a lot of people still use Starbucks for business, for meeting people and all that. So
But is that beneficial to
I,
Starbucks? I mean,
I
no. They have to
you,
clean the bathrooms, the tables, like all that stuff, which
it's a
should
lot of
be
volume you're losing
allocated,
too, though, and it's a lot of volume you're asking to push through mobile ordering over time. So I
or
don't,
just pick up
and again, it
ordering.
makes you makes you very defenseless against somebody else that comes in with a better automation scheme, a trendy concept, and I don't, I don't know, I don't know. But the point is, I think the big point here, which is what the question was getting at, right, is like this is a big issue.
Hmm.
I mean, you're telling Starbucks to go in this complete different direction because of what mobile ordering is, and so regardless of how you look at it, like the Pandora's box, I mean, essentially has been open, right? I mean, it is. I mean, there's no going back then from what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't think that Starbucks needs to. I don't think you get any. You're not getting volume from people sitting in the store and using your coffee shop as a business place. You could just as like you could pick up and order. I think that's where the future is going to be. Not in having people sit there for the whole day and write articles. Sorry, Chris, but I think that if they're going to continue the momentum that they need, it's more about consistency and knowing like I'm addicted to that Starbucks coffee. I want it fast. I want it easy. And how do I get that done as quickly as possible? All right, let's go to the lightning round. Chris, question number one. Budweiser is taking to Spotify to create its new ad campaigns. More than 500 songs on Spotify name check Budweiser in their lyrics. So Budweiser is creating a campaign in Brazil that turns those songs into ads on Spotify for the beer. Chris, can you name one song that has Bud or Budweiser in the lyrics?
Oh man, yeah, that's an easy one, Ann. For me, it was the song we used to dance to in 1995 in Spain, which was "All I Want to Do" by Sheryl Crow. And Billy likes to peel the labels from his bottles of Bud.
That's
And yes,
that's
you remember
good.
that
That's
one? You
quick.
surprised, like went in the
I
reaches and grabbed that
was.
one, huh?
I was wondering what you were going to come up with. I mean, 500 songs, that's a lot. There's like every single country song, but
Yeah,
I
they're all
love
country songs though,
I
right?
love
Yeah.
the Sheryl Crow throwback.
They're probably like 98% country songs. All right, number two. Last week, Krispy Kreme reached the top spot in the Apple Store, sparked by what, Ann? The company's dozen days of deals. Of all the donut chains you've ever gone to, has to be a chain, Ann. So Dunkin', Krispy Kreme, you can go way back to Winchell's if you want. Which one are you most partial to?
We didn't really have like donut chains growing up.
Yeah,
So
Minnesota's light on donut chains. You're right. I should have thought of
we
that.
had like grocery stores and convenience stores really. So
Convenience stores count.
if convenience stores count, then I would say Super Mom's Bakery from Super America, which is now owned by Speedway. But I picked Krispy Kreme of all of those. I like their donuts the best, although I've never been to a Krispy Kreme like actual outlet. So
Oh, we'll have to change that.
I like the donuts. I can do the donuts though. All right, Chris. Skittles is awarding a lucky winner the chance to live in a 353 square foot apartment located in the first micro unit residential building in Manhattan. The space is filled with rainbow and Skittle themed decor and was designed by interior decorator Danny Clarique. If you were the lucky winner, would you keep the apartment as is or would you immediately redecorate?
Oh man, I think that's easy. I would 100% keep it as is, wouldn't you? I
Oh,
mean, you
no.
wouldn't. It's an instant conversation starter. It's something that people would want to come and see. You'd be the anybody you meet, you'd be like, "Hey, I live in the Skittles house. You want to come see it?" Like you got instant friends coming and getting to know you and can welcome them into your home, invite them over your threshold. Yes, I think I would
You only
100%
have
keep it the same.
353 square feet, remember? So I don't know how many people I want to invite up to my
It's a party
apartment.
house, yeah. It's a
And it would,
party condo.
well, a party for 4 people. I mean, you each get 100 square feet to
Hey,
walk around it.
it only
But
takes two people to party, Ed. It only takes
okay.
two. All
All
right, number
right.
four. Margot Robbie is set to produce an upcoming movie based on the popular board game Monopoly. Of the 10 original Monopoly tokens, Anne, the thimble, the shoe, the iron, the top hat, the purse, the lantern, the race car, the battleship, the cannon, and the rocking horse. I forgot all those. Which one would you most want to play in a movie?
The thimble. That was always my favorite token. So
Why?
I
What does
would,
that say about your personality? What is
I don't
thimble-ish
know.
about you?
I'm, I'm, I don't know. I
That's what
protect
I always
people.
pick too when
I
I play. I
protect
don't
people
know.
and I am boring. I don't know.
Thimble is protective. Interesting. I guess it
I mean,
protects
it
your
protects your
finger,
finger
right?
from getting the
Right.
poke. That's the whole
Yeah.
point of it.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Not too flashy. It just gets the job done. Right. That's
Yeah.
that's kind of you. Yeah. You and I at the end of the day. All right. Happy birthday today to Melissa Gilbert, Enrique Iglesias, and to the actor who brought us the saddest moment in An Officer and a Gentleman, David Keith. And remember, if you can only read or listen to one retail blog in the business, make it Omni Talk, the only retail media outlet run by two former executives from a current top 10 US retailer. Our Fast Five podcast is the quickest, fastest rundown of all the week's top news. And our daily newsletter, the Retail Daily Minute, tells you all you need to know each day to stay on top of your game as a retail executive, and also features special content that is exclusive to us and that Ann and I take great pride in doing just for you. Thanks as always for listening in. Please remember to like and leave us a review wherever you happen to listen to your podcast or on YouTube. You can follow us today by simply going to youtube.com/OmniTalkRetail. So until next week, on behalf of all of us at Omni Talk Retail, as always, be careful out there.
The Omni Talk Fast Five is brought to you in association with the A&M Consumer and Retail Group. The A&M Consumer and Retail Group is a management consulting firm that tackles the most complex challenges and advances its clients, people, and communities toward their maximum potential. CRG brings the experience, tools, and operator-like pragmatism to help retailers and consumer products companies be on the right side of disruption. And Avalara. Avalara makes tax compliance faster, easier, more accurate, and more reliable for 30,000 plus business and government customers in over 90 countries. Avalara leverages 1,200 plus signed partner integrations to power tax calculations, document management, tax return filing, and tax content access. Visit avalara.com to improve your compliance journey. And Williot's ambient IoT visibility platform, powered by battery-free Bluetooth tags, eliminates scanning for real-time end-to-end inventory visibility. For more information, head to williot.com/omnitalk. And TGW. Revolutionize your grocery supply chain with TGW. Their experts tailor automation solutions to your needs, ensuring you have the edge. Work with TGW before your competition does. Discover more at tgw-group.com. And Sezzle. Sezzle is an innovative buy now, pay later solution that allows shoppers to split purchases into 4 interest-free payments over 6 weeks. To learn more, visit Sezzle.com.